Right, these are my top five strikers in the UFC. Now, this is my own personal opinion. It's a bit controversy. You'll agree with some, you'll agree with how I've ranked them. It's not really, I think this person's better at striking, it's just the way I've ranked them, So let me know if you think the order's wrong. There might even be someone on this list who I think people will be like, have you ranked him this high? Own opinion, is what it is. Honourable mentions. Dustin Poirier, he's up there. There's Sean Strickland. There's so many people who I could have added on this list, but the video would have been too long. So I've stuck to five fighters who I think are on this list, and we'll get straight into it. With number five, we're going with Max Holloway. Now, Max Holloway's got notable wins over, Calvin Kattar, Jose Aldo, Brian Ortega, Korean Zombie. That's only five good wins he's got, but I'm picking the ones where he's put a masterclass on people. A striking masterclass. I mean, the Kelvin Kattar one was awful. He beat the absolute hell out of Kelvin Kattar. Destroyed him, Head, body, kick, knee, everything. I mean, how Kelvin Kattar did not go down is remarkable. He could have gone down, he could have quit, but he did all 5 rounds, so fair play to him. But Max did look unstoppable tonight, even looking at the commentary team and being like, count him up, the freshman came to play. Absolute legend Max is. Also got Justin Gaethje, forgot to say him. We all saw what Max Holloway did at 300 against Gaethje. No one expected it. The featherweight coming up to lightweight to fight the guy who no one would really want to fight. Gaethje was at a point at a title shot, and Max Holloway put another masterclass on him. And then last 10 seconds against one of the most dangerous fighters in the UFC, points at the ground and says, let's go. Starts swinging for it and gets a knockout in the last second. Impressive. Jose Aldo, not once but twice. Going to Rio, capturing the title, being an interim champion, and then going and defending again. Beating Aldo in his home country. Incredible. He made Jose Aldo look awful. Max Holloway was just on point. He was incredible. His striking, Max hasn't got one punch knockout power. He has knocked people out cold before. Gaethje, Korean Zombie, other people. But majority of the time he'll break you down. His boxing is incredible. His kicking to the body, the spinning kicks he likes to do, they're amazing. But Max will pressure. He'll keep hitting you to the body. Then he'll hit you to the head. The stats with the Kelvin Kattar fight was off the charts. But yeah, beat Aldo twice. Brian Ortega, that was another embarrassing one. Well, embarrassing for the opponent, Ortega didn't have an answer. Max was even one point grabbing his hands and saying, look, this is how you block, this is how you block. Who else does that? Who else does that in the UFC? Grabs the opponent's hands and then put them to his head saying, you need to block. Obviously, Max did get a TKO going into the 5th round, I'm pretty sure it was. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but another amazing performance, And, to top it off, knocking out the Korean Zombie. Absolute legend. Korean Zombie shouldn't have been in there that night. We know he should have retired. Korean Zombie was done. Got absolutely smoked by Volk. Then going in with Max Holloway. At the time, Korean Zombie fought, the pound for pound GOAT, or the pound for pound king, whatever. Volk could be a GOAT, who knows. Volk was on top, and then he fought the second best in that division was Max and got brutally KO'd in both. But that's my number 5 pick. That's Max Holloway. I'm going with... Now, this one will be a bit controversial where I've put it. But like I said, I'm not saying any of these are better than the other. It's just the way I've done it. And I'm going with Alex Pereira. Alex Pereira, I think he's an incredible kickboxer. But the way I've kind of gone with this, if you take Pereira's power away from him, yes, he's still a good kickboxer. But there's also some things I think... he's not the quickest. Alex is not the quickest. We've seen him get striked by other people, Yuri. But he's still an amazing fighter, person, whatever. He's got good wins against Israel Adesanya. That's Israel, one of the best kickboxers in all of UFC. One of them. He's got wins against Jamal Hill, Yuri Bahaska. They'll be on this side or that side. I don't know how I'm editing yet. But you'll see who I put on the screen. Even Sean Strickland. He's also beat Yan. but the ones he's put, Khalil, I even forgot about Khalil Roundtree. He's put striking masterclasses and rememberable KOs in this recent year, 2 years. The Jamal Hill one was really bad. Said, nah, step aside, ref. And then left hook. His left hook, he's probably got the most powerful left hook in all of combat sports. That if that's coming, you get him put to sleep. Khalil Roundtree tried his best. Khalil really did try, but it weren't enough. The power was too much. Also, Yuri Prochazka, the first fight was a bit controversial. Well, it was controversial to a point where Yuri was beating him up. Alex caught him fair and square. Then Yuri went down, and it was a bit of a weird one. But the rematch, we all know what happened in the rematch. Alex's kicking game is off the charts. His leg kicks are brutal. His head kick, his switch stance, where he just quickly switched, boom, to the head with the leg, and that was all she wrote. So, Alex Pereira, I've got number 4. Now, this is another one controversial. I don't know what people will think, but my number 3 pick is Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Now, Wonderboy, he's done. His career is done. I don't think there's much more he's to do, but he's still an active fighter. Obviously, this list is active fighters. Anderson Silva would be number 1 if it was all time, but these are active fighters I'm going with. Now, Wonderboy, in his prime, you put him against any striker, he dominates. You look at his resume, you've got Masvidal, Vicente Luque, Jeff Neal, Kevin Holland. His people he beat were tough, durable strikers. Masvidal's a brawler. Vicente Luque at the time was on a come up. Vicente looked unstoppable and then come against Wonderboy, and Wonderboy just made him look silly. I think it was pretty much a push kick to the body, dropped him, told him to get up. Then 2 seconds later, drops him with head strikes, with punches to the head. Who does that to Vicente Luque? Jeff Neal was on the rise. This guy who, hands of steel, he's got the power. Knocked out Mike Perry, who never has been knocked out before. Jeff Neal was brutal back at that time. He looked undefeated. His striking, his boxing was credible. His stamina, his footwork, and yeah. Who else? You got Kevin Holland. Kevin Holland's a bit of a 50-50. Sometimes Holland can look great, sometimes Holland can look bad. But we all know what Holland comes to bring. That fight was one of the best fights we've ever seen in the UFC. Holland v Wonderboy. If you ain't watched it, go give it a watch because it was a banger. Wonderboy's at number 3. And that's what I think. Tell me what you guys think below. I think people would agree with it. Wonderboy is one of the best strikers we have seen in the UFC of all time. He is amazing. He's got really good wins. He's also lost. He's at the end of his career now. That's why I was debating it, but I was like, no, what? Wonderboy deserves it. He deserves to be at number 3 for top strikers. Now, number 2, people can tell me what they think about this one as well. I've got Ilia Topuria. Now, his boxing is... I haven't seen anything in the UFC in recent years of a box like... His style looks like a boxer. And he's got brutal knockout power. I mean, Josh Emmett, Volkanovski, Max Holloway. Josh Emmett somehow managed to survive. Don't know how. But Josh Emmett went 5 rounds with Ilia, but Ilia made his face look like he's been in a car crash. It was brutal. Swollen, blood, gore, everywhere. Ilia Topuria is the best boxer in the UFC at the minute. Maybe apart from Peter Yan and Dustin Poirier, but I think if you put either or, if Yan went up, Ilia would KO him. If Ilia went up, potentially beat Poirier. I like Poirier too much. But the Volkanovski fight, Volk in the first round looked like Volk. What he does, keeping the range, kicking. Then Ilia had a game plan, stuck to it, backed him up against the cage, and he knew, I've got the power to do this, and he knocked out the pound for pound at the time, it was Islam, the second pound for pound best. Ilia Topuria has scary knockout power. His first title defence late last year, I think it was October, Max Holloway. Max Holloway's never been dropped. Well, he got dropped by Gaethje, but it weren't a major one. Never been knocked down, never been knocked out, let's just say that. Ilia Topuria finished him in the 3rd round. Brutal. Who does that to Max Holloway? When Max Holloway moved up to lightweight in 2019 to fight Dustin Poirier for the interim title, Poirier couldn't do that. Poirier couldn't even knock Max down. Elia comes out of nowhere, rises to the belt. First title defense, you've got Max Holloway. I'm going to finish Max Holloway. The media and everything, us fans, we all thought rubbish. No way is he going to do that. Elia Poirier goes on there and sparks him out. Brutally knocks him down with a left hook. His left hook, the way he twists his hips, then comes up with it. We ain't seen it before. It's amazing. Love it. Ilia Topuria, as much as I'm not a huge fan of him, you've got to respect the resume. He's beaten 2 GOATs. You know, Max Holloway's a Hall of Famer. He's definitely in the Mount Rushmore. So is Volkanovski. You know, those 2 people alone on your resume, you could end your career there and say, I'm better than them 2. And he's potentially rematching Volk, and I think he'll get the job done against Volk again, sadly. Right, number 1 pick. I think people could agree on this. There's another person in this list who you could say, oh, well, actually, that person's better. My number 1 pick is Israel Adesanya. Now, Israel Adesanya, for me, he was the first proper fighter I come up watching. Well, when I got into MMA, when he fought Anderson Silva. I haven't put Silva on honourable mentions. I think we all know Silva was the end of his career. But I've got Alex Pereira. Only guy to knock out Alex Pereira in the UFC. He's only lost in the UFC. Alex Pereira looked unstoppable at the time, you know, beating Sean, got fast-tracked to the title, beat Adesanya, and it was, you know, Adesanya had a lot to lose. He already lost to him twice in kickboxing, then once in MMA, took his title from him. Israel comes on top, sparks him out, in precious fashion, and then the celebration after, you know, the bow and arrow, like, bam, bam, bam. It was, you know, Israel, that night was special for us fans who are a fan of Israel. You know, I've also got Robert Whittaker, the first Robert Whittaker fight. Goes in there, has the interim belt, unification bout, and he starches Robert Whittaker in 2 rounds. And it was a brutal knockout. They were throwing, like kind of leans back with a left hook, boom, right on Rob's shin. That was another hard one to watch because we all love Robert Whittaker. If you're not an MMA fan and you don't love Robert Whittaker, don't know what's up with you. But yeah, Robert Whittaker, you got Paulo Costa. Paulo Costa was undefeated at the time. He was like the juggernaut of the division, running through people. Had a 3-round slugfest with Yoel Romero. Who does that, you know? Who goes in there with Yoel and tears it up? Normally Romero, well, I mean, Rob does, but there's not many. I've also put Kelvin Gastelum. We all remember that night when Israel became the interim middleweight champ of the world. A 5-round slugfest, one of the greatest fights ever, is in my top 5. I've watched live, not at the show, but watched on TV. It was brilliant, loved it. He showed grit, he showed determination, he showed he wanted it. And then I've also got Derek Brunson. The Derek Brunson performance from Israel was off the charts. He was a sniper. You know, at first, Brunson's trying to chase him, running around. Didn't work. Israel was like, stand back, boom, hit you with 1. Dropped him, gets him up again, boom, drops him. You know, who does that to Derek Brunson at the time when Derek Brunson was one of the top 5, you know? Brunson still is. Brunson's still really good. He gives most middleweights a run for the money. And Israel went in there, made it look easy, you know? And like I said, he just stood back, boom, a jab, dropped him, boom, backhand, dropped him. It's impressive. So that's my list. You know, there are other fighters out there. If it was a top 10, you would see more like Dustin Poirier on there, Peter Yan on there. That could be a whole other video in itself. But yeah, Sean Strickland. There's so many good fighters out there. Well, top 5 strikers. There's more. I could do another list. I could do part 2 of this. Who knows? But let me know what you guys think about it. Let me know if you think I'm wrong, if I'm right, if you agree with these people. Maybe not in the order. I definitely think the order can be different. You know, I would personally, you could put Alex Pereira above Wonder Boy, but I'm a big Wonder Boy fan. Bit of biasy there. But, you know, you got Max Holloway. Max Holloway could have been up on the list, or maybe not even in the top 5. Ilia Topuria. Maybe you could put Ilia number 1, or you could drop him down to number 3. Just let me know what you guys think, because I think it's an interesting conversation. There's so many other fighters who you could put on there. But yeah, in a bit, let me know what you guys think below. Like, comment, and subscribe in a bit.